साथियों नमस्कार और आप सभी का एक नए वीडियो में बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। मेरा नाम है सुहित मिश्रा। देखिए, आज जो हमारे साथ मेहमान जुड़ रहे हैं वो बहुत ही खास मेहमान हैं। एक ऐसे समय में जब सत्ता के सामने हर कोई नतमस्तक हो चुका है, हर कोई सत्ता के साथ मिलना चाहता है। हम देखते हैं कि कैसे लोग रिटायरमेंट के बाद सत्ता में जुड़ने के लिए अनाप शनाप कहते हैं। आज हमारे साथ एक ऐसे ब्यूरोक्रेट जुड़ रहे हैं जिन्होंने लगातार सत्ता के खिलाफ बातचीत की है और ना केवल बातचीत की है बल्कि सत्ता को लेकर आज भी वो लगातार सवाल उठाते रहे हैं। मैं उन्हें मंच पर आमंत्रित करता हूं। आज हमारे साथ जुड़ रहे हैं ईएस शर्मा जी। सर, आपका पहले तो बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। वेलकम सर, वेलकम टू आवर चैनल। अगर मैं आप दोस्तों को बताऊं आपके बारे में तो ईएस शर्मा ये फॉर्मर सेक्रेटरी रह चुके हैं भारत सरकार को लेकर। भारत सरकार में गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया में फॉर्मर सेक्रेटरी रह चुके हैं। लगातार ये अपनी आवाजों को उठाते रहते हैं। आप कई जगहों पर सर को देखेंगे। इनफैक्ट अगर आपने हमारे चैनल को भी देखा होगा तो उसमें भी सर की ओर से जो पत्र लिखे गए थे चुनाव आयोग को लेकर, जो बीईएल कंपनी, आपको याद होगा हमने कहा था कि कैसे उस कंपनी में 4 ऐसे इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर्स हैं जिनका बीजेपी से कनेक्शन है। एक तो राजकोट बीजेपी के प्रेसिडेंट हैं। तो ये सारे जो मुद्दे हैं सर लगातार उठाते रहते हैं और आज हमारे साथ ये जुड़े हैं। ये हमारा सौभाग्य है, विशाखापट्टनम से सर जुड़े हुए हैं। तो साथियों, आज हम उनसे कई सवाल पूछेंगे। मेरे मन में कई सवाल हैं कि एक ऐसे समय में जब सत्ता के सामने सारे ब्यूरोक्रेट्स जो हैं वो रिटायर्ड हो या फिर अब भी जो काम कर रहे हैं वो कॉम्प्रोमाइज करने को तैयार हैं, ये क्यों लगातार बोलते रहते हैं। मैं सर से अंग्रेजी में बात करूंगा, आपको नीचे सबटाइटल्स भी मिल जाएंगे और मैं उसका हिंदी में भी अनुवाद करूंगा। सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, thank you so much for agreeing to coming to my channel and speaking to us. You have been an inspiration, sir. And the first thing which I want to ask you is regarding your letters. In fact, even when we are speaking, you have written a letter again saying that during the election, the model code of conduct is not being followed by several people, which includes even the Prime Minister of India. You have been very vocal about your rights. You have been very vocal about people's rights. You have been speaking about it. Why do you think it is important to do so, and why you have been pointing about this? Also, what do you think about the current situation where we see, be it the Prime Minister, be it people from various political parties, they are using the name of religion, caste, creed, everything during this election, and there hasn't been any action taken against them?
You see, the purpose of writing letters to the Election Commission of India is to generate a public debate, because I keep all these letters in letters to the public domain. People should know what is happening, what are the motives of parties like BJP, and what is the role of the Election Commission of India. Now, to start with, Article 324, under which the Election Commission is appointed, it is a constitutional authority. Now, there is a Supreme Court judgment of 1976 or 77, which says under Article 324, the Election Commission has a reservoir of authority, enormous amount of power, unless limited by the Parliament in a certain aspect. Now, strictly speaking, there were election commissioners in the past, and they were also selected by the political executive, the Prime Minister, and a small, very, very subjective appointments. They are all post-retirement benefits given to certain officers. Other people don't have that opportunity. But in the past, in spite of that, there are several election commissioners who stood up against the government. And they insisted on enforcing the model code of conduct. Whereas the present election commission, in my view, has completely capitulated, and they have not really invoked that authority with which they can do many things. I always remind them that Mr. Session was, after all, appointed by the political executive. But when he became election commissioner, he elevated himself to the level of a constitutional authority and asserted that power. So that is not happening. I feel very unhappy. And like never before, earlier there were many, many prime ministers. I worked with 3 prime ministers, Mr. Bajpayee himself, and Mr. Inder Gujral, and Mr. Devi Gowda. They were never as aggressive, as blatant in defying the model code of conduct, the ethics of elections. It never happened earlier. So today the political executive probably is exceeding his limits in using religion, caste, community to appeal to voters for votes. So that is what really bothers me. And there are many other civil servants who have done this, not only me, the others also. But what I am interested in is that the public should know. Public should discuss the role of the Election Commission of India and what BJP is doing.
Correct. And we appreciate, sir, that you have been very vocal about it. It gives us a lot of hope. But my next question is, since you have been writing again and again, and in fact, even today, when we were speaking and the letter that you have written, once again, you have said that at the cost of repeating myself, I am saying that there is blatant model code of conduct, misuse of model code of conduct. They are not following the rules and regulations. But you have been writing again and again. Has there been any response given to you? Has there been any action taken? Did you get anything from these people who might be your juniors who are now appointed there? Have anyone said anything to you as of now?
Not really, not really. I remember once I filed not now, many years ago, I lodged a similar complaint saying that somebody filed a false affidavit, one of the ministers in Andhra Pradesh. One of the election commissioners at that time, he took cognizance of that, and he forwarded it to the local chief electoral officer, asking him to file a complaint against the minister. But these days, I don't get any replies from these election commissioners. I'm not worried, because these letters are very widely read by many people. They contact me, they talk to me. At least some of these issues people should know.
करेक्ट. तो आई जस्ट ट्रांसलेट इट इन हिंदी. तो अब तक जो हमने सर से बात की, सर ने अभी हाल ही में फिर से चुनाव आयोग को पत्र लिखा है और कहा है कि धर्म के नाम का उपयोग किया जा रहा है चुनावों में जाति का नाम का उपयोग किया जा रहा है और ये जो मॉडल कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट है उसके खिलाफ है. और उसके बाद वो लगातार इस तरह से पत्र लिखते रहे हैं और उनका कहना है कि इसके जरिए मेरा उद्देश्य यह है कि लोगों को पता चलना चाहिए क्या सही है क्या गलत है. सर 3 प्रधानमंत्रियों के साथ काम कर चुके हैं, लेकिन उन्होंने कहा कि जिस तरह से नियमों का उल्लंघन अब हो रहा है ऐसा कभी नहीं हुआ और ये करने का उनका मकसद ये है ताकि लोगों को पता चले, लोग जागरूक रहें, उन्हें पता रहे कि इस देश में क्या कुछ हो रहा है. और कुछ लोग हैं जो कम से कम इस मुद्दे को उठा रहे हैं, उसमें सर शामिल हैं. और साथ ही साथ अब मैंने इनसे दूसरा सवाल ये पूछा कि आप क्योंकि लगातार लिख रहे हैं, जो लोग वहां पर मौजूद हैं वो आपके जूनियर हैं, क्या उनकी ओर से कोई जवाब मिला है, क्योंकि वो भी ब्यूरोक्रेट्स हैं. तो इन्होंने कहा कि अब तो नहीं मिला है, पहले जवाब मिलता भी था, अब कोई जवाब नहीं मिल रहा है. तो सोचिए दोस्तों, ये हालात हैं जब हम बात कर रहे हैं. सर, बट to go ahead with this issue now, you have been raising several issues. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, one of the issues which were raised, which was very important, is that there are people from the Bharatiya Janata Party who have been appointed as independent directors in BEL. You raised this issue, we discussed this issue, but nothing happened ahead. What do you think is how dangerous is it that there is a lot of questions being raised regarding elections itself, regarding EVM, regarding VVPAT, and at the same time, if there are 4 people who are affiliated with a political party who are appointed in the BEL, so this might also decrease the trust that people have towards election as well as the entire election process.
No, the picture is slightly larger.
Yeah.
The BJP's 4 representatives are on the board of Bharat Electronics Limited. And there is another organization, another public sector undertaking, Electronics Corporation of India, where there is one BJP representative as a director. Now, both these organizations are supposed to manufacture and supply electronic voting machines, about which there is a great deal of debate these days, saying that the EVM technology is very deficient, it is vulnerable to manipulation. The technical experts have said this, and I have also gone on air several times on this. Now, there is a third thing. In the electoral bonds case, it is the State Bank of India, which is the premier, that is a bank which is entrusted with managing electoral bonds. And again, BJP's representative is nominated as a director on SBI. What does it show? That means somehow the BJP has been very anxious to oversee the management of all these crucial organizations which are involved in electioneering, and which are supposed to supply the equipment, which are supposed to, oversee the electoral funding. So that shows there is something wrong somewhere. And I can also tell you, more things will come out of this very shortly. I'm doing some research on this. More things will come out. How the BJP has been trying to interfere with the institutions, compromising people. I think that is something very, very worrisome, actually. And Election Commission, as I said, has enormous authority. For example, Election Commission should have asked the government, directed the government to withdraw all these BJP nominees from the both all the three public sector undertakings, the SBI, ECIL, and Bharat Electoral. They have not done that. I asked them to do it. You got the authority. They are not doing it. Are they afraid of the BJP? Are they afraid of the political executive? A constitutional authority which is afraid of the political executive cannot function, because their mandate is to conduct elections in a free and fair manner. And if they fail in that, and you see, they're all post-retirement benefits given to them, they occupy very high positions, their salaries are paid out of public exchequer, our money, and they should be accountable to the people of India. And they should be accountable to Article 324. So they're committing a breach of the Article 324 mandate, and they're also committing a breach of the public trust reposed on them. Public expect a lot from them.
But
Also,
do you think
I also mentioned here that it's not only me replying
Correct.
me and all. See, when the electronic voting machines, all the political parties, opposition parties wanted to went in a delegation, very senior leaders, they wanted to call on the election commission. They refused to meet them. You cannot have an election commission which is afraid to meet the opposition. There's something very, very worrisome.
करेक्ट. तो I'll just once again tell people about it. So मैंने सर से ये पूछा सर कि सर आप लगातार ये जो सवाल उठाते रहे हैं खासतौर पर चुनाव आयोग को लेकर, और कैसे बीईएल में 4 ऐसे लोग हैं जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी से जुड़े हुए जो वहां पर शामिल हैं. उसमें सर ने कहा कि केवल एक कंपनी नहीं है, ऐसे 3 कंपनी है जिसमें इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड जो एसबीआई बैंक की ओर से जो जारी होता है उसमें भी आप देखेंगे कि बीजेपी से जुड़ा हुआ शख्स वहां पर है. और अगर ऐसे संवैधानिक पोजीशन पर आप एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के लोगों को वहां पर भेजते हैं, और मैं अकेला नहीं हूं, कई लोग हैं जो ये मुद्दे को उठा रहे हैं, लेकिन इस मुद्दे को उठाने के बावजूद वहां पर कोई भी कार्रवाई नहीं होती है. जो लोगों को कार्रवाई करने का अधिकार है वो भी तो एक संवैधानिक पोजीशन पर, एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पोजीशन पर है. वो कार्रवाई क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं, वो इतने क्यों डरे हुए हैं, और ये इस देश के लिए घातक है. इसके साथ ही जो सर ने कहा कि इसके ऊपर और भी कई सारी चीजें बाहर आने वाली हैं, वो लगातार इसके ऊपर रिसर्च कर रहे हैं और कुछ समय में देखने मिलेगा. पहले जब मैंने सवाल पूछा था, एक चीज जो रह गया, उन्होंने कहा कि अब सरकार की ओर से तो जवाब नहीं आता है, लेकिन कई जगहों पर जो पत्र लिखे जा रहे हैं वो पढ़े जाते हैं और लोगों को पता चलता है. तो एक जो बड़ा मोटिव है वो यही है कि कम से कम लोगों को पता चले, जो लोग बोल रहे हैं, जो इस सिस्टम का हिस्सा रहे हैं, उन्हें पता है कि क्या सही है क्या गलत, और कम से कम वो पॉइंट आउट कर रहे हैं. सो माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू यू इज दैट you have been inside the system, you have seen the entire way the government functions. What is happening currently? Has it been so blatant in the past? I'll give you examples. I have been like we saw a sitting Supreme Court judge after his retirement becomes a Rajya Sabha member. A sitting High Court, Kolkata High Court judge, he resigns and then he is contesting from a party. We see that ED, CBI, all of these institutions are being used against opposition the most. So has there been such blatant use of the system in the past? What do you see currently, and how different it is, and what do you make out of it?
In the past also, the previous governments also are guilty of this. UPA government, the earlier governments also are guilty, appointing governors, their own political party nominees. But it has never been so blatant, so open. See, for example, a Supreme Court judge retiring has been appointed governor of a state. And, this kind of a thing never happened in the past. And, not only Rajya Sabha Chief Justice becoming a Rajya Sabha member, say even a Rajya Sabha member, electoral bonds, somebody gives a donation and he becomes a Rajya Sabha member. See, this is something, you are tampering with the basic democratic principles of this country, and we cannot allow that. And I may also mention to you, when we discuss this model code of conduct and this using religion for appealing to voters to vote for the party, it is just not violation of the model code of conduct. It is actually violation of section 123, 3 of the Representation of People's Act, where anybody who uses religion for votes, he is deemed to have committed a corrupt practice, in which case he attracts the liability of disqualification.
Correct. And if the case is serious, they can be put in prison for maximum 3 years.
Yeah. And it is the Election Commission of India, to my point out, I should need not have pointed out. Election Commission on its own should have taken recognition of that. And because the Election Commission has not issued notices to the Prime Minister, the Home Minister. In the Gujarat elections, for example, I made complaints on model code of conduct violations against the Home Minister. See, Home Minister is a very responsible person. Now, when they don't take action, Election Commission of India, you are encouraging other people to violate the model code of conduct. See, the moment you are inactive, you don't want to take action against some people, law should apply to everybody equally. So all other people
Correct.
will now violate the model code. So there will be chaos. There will be
Correct.
total chaos. So Election Commission is becoming a party to it. A Representation of People's Act violation, a section 123 violation, Election Commission is becoming a party to it. After all, they are supposed to enforce it. That is the
Correct.
act, it's the electoral law passed by the parliament. So these are very, very unfortunate. And one more thing also, probably, in the state governments, today you would have seen Election Commission of India has transferred the Directors General of Police and district magistrates, state government officers saying they're interfering, so you transfer them, we'll appoint somebody. They're doing all that. It's very good. They should do that. But in my view, an election commission worth its salt should also apply the same logic to central government. See, today we find Enforcement Directorate, CBI, Income Tax Department, all of them selectively proceeding against opposition leaders, opposition. We see everywhere. You cannot say it's just a small thing, law of its table, take its own course. No, there are far too many such instances which suggest that there is a deliberate attempt of these agencies. The Enforcement Directorate had a director who was an extension, and the whole matter went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court questioned it. So what is the result today? There is an acting director of the Enforcement Directorate. Now, you can't expect any kind of independence. In my view, the Election Commission should have issued a directive to the government saying during the model code of conduct, that period, all these agencies will report to us. And if they want to take an action, they should keep us informed. So that there is some kind of an oversight.
Correct.
In my view, that is quite possible. But no election commission in the past has done it. But I suggested it to the Election Commission. And if any election commissioner realizes the importance of Article 324, he should have acted. But they have not done that. So one is to commit violations, MCC, you become a party. Then by own inaction, you are breaching the mandate of Article 324. How can you expect the Election Commission to conduct free and fair elections? Today, I read somewhere in the EVM case in the Supreme Court, I think the Chief Election Commissioner said we are pained to be questioned about our ability to conduct elections in a free and fair manner. For 3 years, we have done it. How does it really, after what I have written, does it really, create any confidence in the public? No.
करेक्ट. सो आई विल जस्ट ट्रांसलेट. तो मैंने सर से ये पूछा कि आप देख रहे हैं कि ईडी सीबीआई का जिस तरह से इस्तेमाल होता है, सिस्टम के जो अधिकारी हैं उनका जिस तरह से इस्तेमाल हो रहा है, और अधिकांश जो इस्तेमाल है वो विपक्ष के खिलाफ होता है. क्या ऐसे हालात कभी इतने खराब थे इससे पहले? अगर पास्ट की बात करें तो सर ने कहा कि ऐसा नहीं है कि पहले हालात खराब नहीं थे, पहले भी जरूर इसी तरह से चीजें हुई हैं, और जो सिस्टम है उसका इस्तेमाल किया गया है. लोगों को, जो पार्टी के लोग हैं उनको गवर्नर तक बनाया गया है. लेकिन जिस तरह से अब ब्लेटेंट यूज हो रहा है, जिस तरह से अब खुले तौर पर जो दुरुपयोग हो रहा है, इतना दुरुपयोग कभी भी इतिहास में नहीं हुआ है. इसके साथ ही उन्होंने जो चुनाव आयोग है उसको लेकर एक बार फिर से कहा कि अगर आप धर्म की राजनीति करते हैं, धर्म के नाम पर वोट मांगते हैं, तो धारा 123(3) के तहत आपको डिस्क्वालीफाई किया जा सकता है. इसके साथ ही ये नियम, दोस्तों मैं आपको बताऊं, ये भी कहता है कि आपको वोट करने से रोका जा सकता है, सर्टेन पीरियड के लिए आपको डिस्क्वालीफाई किया जा सकता है, और 3 साल के लिए आपको जेल की सजा हो सकती है. लेकिन वो नहीं करते हुए चुनाव आयोग कमजोरी अपना दिखा रहा है, और उससे दूसरे लोगों को भी ये फायदा मिलता है, क्योंकि चुनाव आयोग एक्ट नहीं करता है तो बाकी लोग भी इस नियम का उल्लंघन करते हैं, और फिर उसकी वजह से केओस हो जाता है, यानी कुछ भी आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं रहता है. और धीरे धीरे ये चीजें जो है वो लगातार बढ़ रही हैं. ये मामला सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी गया है. अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट में चुनाव आयोग कहता है कि उन्हें काफी बुरा लगता है जब उनके ऊपर सवाल उठाए जाते हैं, ये कहा जाता है कि वो चुनाव सही से कर सकते हैं या नहीं. लेकिन शर्मा सर जैसे बहुत लोग जो हैं जो लगातार इसे लेकर मुद्दे को उठा रहे हैं, चुनाव आयोग को कई सवाल पूछे गए हैं लेकिन एक जवाब नहीं मिलता है, तो फिर लोगों में विश्वसनीयता कैसे बनी रहेगी? तो ये जो पूरा मामला है ये इसी तरीके से बना हुआ है. So my next question to you is, you have been so vocal, you are among those few people who have been writing, who have been speaking. But do you think that in the system as the whole, people have now understood? Like, I'll give you an example of Maharashtra as well. So in 2019, when there was a change in government and Uddhav Thackeray became the chief minister, what we saw over here is that the chief minister was Uddhav Thackeray, but majority of the people in the system were directly or indirectly still reporting to Devendra Fadnavis, and later who was in the opposition. But later we saw how things changed, and he got once again in the power. So even now, do you see that in the system, if we talk about bureaucrats, if we talk about all these officers, they have, how do I put it, forgotten how powerful they can be, or they are now thinking of, say, a post-retirement function, or a way of how they can enjoy benefits post-retirement? How different it is from back in the day and what is happening right now?
There is not much of difference. See, post-retirement benefits are given by all governments. They try to, buy officers. It happened, I would not blame, but it never happened on such a large scale. Now, the one more point I just wanted to raise, when we talk of the Election Commission's authority, you have seen electoral bonds, how non-transparent, opaque the whole thing was. The Supreme Court actually issued a direction and all the details have come out. Now, they held that the electoral bond funding is unconstitutional, illegal. It's not only illegal, there is money taken by the ruling political executive through intimidation of companies, extortion, and there is drug companies which have produced substandard drugs, which have killed children, not only in India, outside India also, and have brought a bad name to India. That is one kind of electrical bond money. There is one Silkiara tunnel collapse in Uttarakhand. And I wrote a letter to the government everywhere, CBI and all that. There is a cabinet decision that the contractor should provide an exit route. They have not done that. So till today, the government has not taken action. But the contracting company has given electoral bond money. So in a way, this money is not only illegal, but also it has come out of intimidation, extortion. Then in some money, if you see, they have amended the Forest Conservation Act. They have amended the Mineral Development Regulation Act just to suit some private big businesses. So that kind of money, when the Supreme Court says is illegal, and everybody knows that it's not only illegal, but it's also associated with crime. The Election Commission could have issued a directive. There are about 6,000 crores lying with probably the ruling party and also some other political parties. They could have issued a direction saying, I freeze your accounts. Don't use a single rupee out of that in electioneering, because that's all tainted money. That money is associated. It's not only illegal, but also tainted. Don't use a single rupee. So I wrote to the Election Commission. I also wrote a letter to the President of India saying that the Election Commission has the authority. At least you freeze it. Don't allow that money to be used. Till today, Election Commission has not done anything at all. They're just watching the whole thing. They know what has happened. Are they helpless? Article 324 is there, but they just don't want to invoke it.
करेक्ट. तो दर्शकों, मैंने सर से ये पूछा कि जिस तरह के हालात अभी हैं, जिस तरह से हम देखते हैं कि जो अधिकारी हैं वो पोस्ट रिटायरमेंट बेनिफिट्स के लिए कहीं ना कहीं जो नियमों का उल्लंघन करते हुए नजर आते हैं, क्या ऐसा पहले भी होता था? उन्होंने कहा, देखिए, ये पहले भी होता था, लेकिन जितने धड़ल्ले से और जितने बड़े स्केल पर अब होता है, उतना पहले नहीं होता था. फिर उन्होंने इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स का भी बात की कि जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट में मामला चला तो उसमें आपको भी पता है, हमने भी इस पर रिपोर्टिंग की है कि इसमें तो एक नारा भी दे दिया गया है, चंदा दो धंधा लो. तो कैसे एक्सटॉर्शन के जरिए दबाव बनाकर इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स लिए गए और उसके अलग अलग जगहों पर उसके परिणाम हुए हैं, उस पर इन्होंने कहा कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने तो इस पूरे पैसे को अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल कह दिया. बीजेपी को 6,000 करोड़ से ज्यादा मिले, दूसरे राजनीतिक पार्टियों को भी पैसे मिले. ऐसे में चुनाव आयोग को यह करना चाहिए था कि आपको कहना चाहिए था इन सभी राजनीतिक पार्टियों को कि आपके जितने भी अकाउंट्स हैं जिसमें ये इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड से पैसे आए हैं, उसे हम फ्रीज करते हैं, क्योंकि ये जो पैसा है ये टेंटेड है. ये पैसे को लेकर सवाल उठे हैं, ये वो पैसा है जो अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल, जिसे सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा. लेकिन चुनाव आयोग ने ऐसा कोई काम नहीं किया, ऐसा कोई काम या कदम नहीं उठाया गया. सर की ओर से पत्र भी लिखे गए, लेकिन उसके बावजूद कुछ नहीं हुआ. सर, माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू यू इज, नाउ इट्स अ वेरी sad question to ask, but this is the times we are living in. My question is, why do you think that you need to be vocal? Because it is very easy not to be vocal. Just enjoy the benefits from the government, take a lot of it could benefit you in several ways. Why did you decide that you need to be vocal, you need to speak out, you need to say what is wrong, what is right, that to till the prime minister you have been writing and raising questions, but while there is no response, but you're still questioning them, and we are understanding, okay, what is right, what is wrong. Why do you think that now is not the time to not speak up, or it is necessary to be vocal?
As I mentioned to you, after I write these letters, sometimes I wonder whether anybody reads them. But I was surprised. Some people in the rural areas, they are getting the translated version of some of these letters and they telephone me. Sir, I have seen this. I've seen this letter. So it actually generates some kind of a public debate, which I think is very important. And I am not only talking of election commission. I do a lot of work in the slums of Visakhapatnam, where I try to go to the slum dwellers and say, you demand from your representative, whomsoever you're giving a vote, they should be accountable to you. Every 3 months, they should come and report to you, that kind of thing. I want to also actually narrate one thing. See, there are officers, there are politicians. As I mentioned to you, I worked with Mr. Bajpai. He was a BJP prime minister. Now, recently, I met a colleague of mine, retired man, and he was a former controller and accountant general of India. He told me something very interesting. In certain matters, he said there are some irregularities committed by the government. So he went and explained to the prime minister, sir, this is the position and this is what we are doing. And Mr. Bajpai said, go ahead. Because he was a person who respected an institution, who respected the rule of law. See, election commission strictly, if they tell the president of India, after all, they're answerable to the president of India, say these are the things that we have to do this and these are authority. I can tell you, nobody can touch them. Nobody can touch them. They've got constitutional protection and the people of India will stand by them. I keep telling them, if you do something like this, the people of India who are sovereign, they're bigger than anybody else, any political party, they will stand by you. See, when Mr. Session took some harsh decisions, he asked a minister to clean a compound wall in Warangal, in Vishaka, in Andhra Pradesh, combined Andhra Pradesh. Now it is Telangana. And he said, some of these things are written and they're violation of model code of conduct, you get this cleaned. See, somewhere, an authority should exercise his authority. Otherwise, it's not worth functioning there. I keep telling them, some election commissions are remembered, some are forgotten. Now you choose which category you want to belong to. You want to be forgotten. But then, you see, even if they're forgotten, they have done a lot of damage to democracy. And I remember Dr. Ambedkar, when he presented the constitution document, draft constitution document to the Constituent Assembly, he said something very important. He said, I'm not very sure where these papers, the constitution, will ultimately give us democracy. I'm not very sure. He addressed a beautiful speech, very good speech, in which he says, there can be a very good constitution, but if bad people operate it, it'll turn out to be bad. If there can be a very bad constitution, if good people operate it, it'll turn out to be good. Ultimately, it depends on the people. So that is something which is very important.
करेक्ट. मैंने सर से ये पूछा कि सर आप क्यों लिखते हैं, आप भी तो आराम की जिंदगी रह सकते हैं, आप क्यों इतना वोकल होते हैं एक ऐसे समय में जब कई लोग बोलने से बचते हैं. तो सर ने कहा कि देखिए मैं इसलिए लिखता हूं क्योंकि मुझे भी ये पता चलता है बाद में कि जो मैंने पत्र लिखे हैं वो लोग ट्रांसलेट कर अलग अलग गाँव में तक वो बात पहुंच रही है और इससे कम से कम एक डिबेट पैदा होता है, लोगों के अंदर वो जानकारियां पहुंच रही हैं और लोग मुझे फोन करके भी कहते हैं अच्छा आपने ये जो पत्र लिखा ये मुझे पता चला. और उन्होंने कहा कि ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं केवल इलेक्शन कमीशन को लेकर ही वोकल हूं, लगातार अगर मैं आपको आगे बताऊंगा भी सर ने क्या क्या काम किया हुआ है, लेकिन वो हर एक ऐसे मुद्दे हैं जहां पर वो लोगों को जागरूक करने का काम करते हैं. विशाखापट्टनम की जो सर ने बात की, वहां के झुग्गियों के जो लोग हैं उनको भी अपने अधिकार बताने का काम सर करते हैं. इसके साथ साथ उन्होंने कहा कि देखिए चीजें जो हैं वो बदल गई हैं. इन्होंने वाजपेयी सरकार में भी काम किया है और उस समय एक जो सीएजी थे उन्होंने वहां पर देखा था कि कैसे सरकार की ओर से जो काम किया गया है उसमें कई गलत चीजें की गई हैं. और उस समय उन्होंने कहा गए वो और अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी को उन्होंने कहा कि ये सारी चीजें गलत की गई हैं, हम इसके खिलाफ एक्शन ले रहे हैं. और अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी ने कहा कि ठीक है आप आगे जाइए, आप अपना एक्शन लीजिए, क्योंकि होता यह है कि सिस्टम का जो काम है वो सिस्टम को करने देना चाहिए. अब ऐसा कुछ हो नहीं रहा है और अब भी इनका ये कहना है कि क्योंकि हम चुनावों की बात कर रहे हैं चुनाव आयोग के पास इतना ताकत होता है कि अगर उन्हें लगता है कुछ गलत हो रहा है, वो सीधे राष्ट्रपति के पास जा सकते हैं, राष्ट्रपति से कह सकते हैं क्या गलत है, क्या सही, क्या एक्शन लेना है, और उन्हें कोई टच नहीं कर सकता। भारत की जनता उनके साथ रहेगी, लेकिन ऐसा कोई भी कदम किसी की ओर से नहीं उठाया जा रहा। जो महत्वपूर्ण बात इन्होंने कही वो ये है कि दो तरीके के चुनाव आयोग के अधिकारी होते हैं, एक वो जिन्हें याद रखा जाता है उनके काम की वजह से, और एक वो जिन्हें भुला दिया जाता है। आपको तय करना है कि आपको कौन से किस्म का अधिकारी बनना है, लेकिन जिन्हें भुला दिया जाता है वो भी बहुत डैमेज करके जाते हैं। साथ ही साथ इन्होंने कहा कि बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर ने कहा था कि चाहे संविधान कितना भी अच्छा हो, अगर खराब लोग रहें तो वो अच्छे संविधान का भी दुरुपयोग कर सकते हैं, और संविधान कितना भी खराब क्यों ना हो, अगर अच्छे लोग रहें तो संविधान, उस खराब संविधान से भी अच्छे रास्ते, अच्छे नीतियां बनाई जा सकती हैं। तो ये दोस्तों आप समझिए जो हम बात कर रहे हैं, ये सिस्टम देख चुके शख्स से हम बात कर रहे हैं, जो वोकल हैं, जो बात कर रहे हैं। और मैं आपको बताऊं, ऐसा नहीं आप सोचेंगे कि अच्छा ये अभी बात कर रहे हैं, इनके जो इतिहास है वो तो बहुत पुराना है और बहुत समय से है। मैं एक एग्जांपल आपको देता हूं, 1994-95 में जब तेलुगु देशम पार्टी सरकार की ओर से बड़े पैमाने पर पावर प्लांट्स लगाने की बात चल रही थी, वो भी बिना कॉम्पिटिटिव बिडिंग के, तब भी सर, तब तो एक ऑफिसर थे, वो रिटायर्ड नहीं हुए थे, तब भी उन्होंने इसके खिलाफ लगातार सवाल उठाया था। और उस समय भी उन्होंने कहा था कि इफ अ ब्यूरोक्रेट इज ऑनेस्ट, नोबडी वुड डेयर इन्फ्लुएंस हिम स्लैश हर। अगर एक ब्यूरोक्रेट ईमानदारी से अपना काम करता है तो कोई भी उनके खिलाफ कुछ भी बोलने की हिम्मत नहीं रखता। So my next question to you is about this same thing. Do you think that there has been a reduction in the honesty of bureaucrats? This is a very direct question. And how do you look at where the country is going right now?
I don't think so. I don't agree because, there are very, very good bureaucrats today. I see many young people. I saw one young IPS officer in Haryana and a minister insulted her. It came on the TV. It was around 7 o'clock in the evening. And he insulted her. He asked her to get out. And that girl, IPS officer, said, "Why should I? I'm a public servant. Nobody can question me because what I'm doing is as per the rule of law." And when I saw this, I was so excited. I got her mobile number from the internet and I telephoned her saying, "Look, I'm a retired IAS officer living in Visakhapatnam, but I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. People like you actually will protect the future of this country." Then I wrote to the chief secretary, "Don't touch her, please." Then I lodged a complaint with the National Commission, one of the things against this. So what happens is today there are many, many officers. So my request to the public through your channel is, please recognize where good people are there, support them. Bad people forget. The society itself has got bad and good. If we start looking for bad things, everything looks bad. But in the society, there are many, many good things. You look for that good thing, be optimistic, support good, and the society will change. So my request is, wherever there is honesty, kindly support. Wherever there is an officer who is upright, support.
तो मैंने सर से ये पूछा कि सर क्या आपको लगता है कि आपने जो ये बातें कही हैं, इतिहास आप जब काम कर रहे थे, अब लोग ईमानदार हैं या नहीं, अधिकारी खासतौर पर ब्यूरोक्रेट्स? तो उनका कहना है, मैं मानता हूं कि अब भी बहुत सारे ऐसे युवा हैं जो ब्यूरोक्रेट बने और बहुत ईमानदार हैं। और एक जो एग्जांपल इन्होंने दिया, हरियाणा की एक महिला ब्यूरोक्रेट ऑफिसर, आईएएस ऑफिसर वहां की थी, जिन्हें वहां के किसी
आईपीएस ऑफिसर,
आईपीएस ऑफिसर, माफ कीजिएगा, आईपीएस ऑफिसर थी, जिनको वहां के एक मंत्री ने बदतमीजी से बात किया, उन्हें बाहर जाने को कहा, लेकिन उस महिला ने कहा कि मैं क्यों बाहर जाऊं, मैं एक पब्लिक सर्वेंट हूं, मैं मेरा काम कर रही हूँ। सर ने उनका कहीं से नंबर भी लिया और उससे बात भी की, और फिर ये भी कहा सिस्टम के उनके अधिकारियों को कि इनके खिलाफ कोई भी कार्रवाई नहीं की जाए। इनकी अपील यह है कि लोगों को भी ऑप्टिमिस्टिक रहना चाहिए, लोगों को ऐसे लोगों को पहचानना चाहिए, ऐसे अधिकारियों को जो वाकई अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, उन्हें याद रखना चाहिए, और जो खराब लोग हैं वो तो हर सिस्टम में होते हैं, उन्हें भूल जाए, लेकिन कम से कम जो अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं उनका सहयोग हमें करना चाहिए, ये सर ने कहा। बट सर, टेल मी वन थिंग, यू हैव बीन वेरी वोकल अबाउट दिस. Has this impacted you in the past? Right now you have been speaking continuously. Anyways, you have been said by your own family members, why do you speak so much, or don't do it, or is there been any type of pressure that someone has tried to create on you?
Never. Because I feel that by doing this, my health also has improved. My age is 82 years and 6 months. And by doing this, I keep my health going. I'm active. My wife fully supports me. We are both activists. And my wife has filed cases in the Delhi High Court to protect some archaeological sites, Buddhist sites. She has written books on that. So we think alike. And I've got a number of people who work with me, NGOs. They're all with us. And we all talk in the same language. We are all optimistic. And whatever little we can do, we do. So, and I would tell every IAS officer, IPS officer in India, nothing can happen if you are upright. If you stand upright, if you stand against for the rule of law, nobody can touch you. I was transferred out 26 times in my career. In my third, I ultimately took voluntary retirement in the year 2000, Mr. Bajpayee's government, not because of my difference with Mr. Bajpayee. I had a difference with the Prime Minister's office at that time. So I quit. But 26 times I got transferred. Every time I was transferred, I was quite happy, because that gave me, a fresh outlook and all that. So nothing can happen. Nobody can touch you. Please be upright, be honest, and you stand by the Constitution, the rule of law. That is democracy. And stand by the people. That's very important.
करेक्ट. मैंने दोस्तों सर से पूछा कि आप इतने बात करते हैं, आप इतने वोकल हैं, तो क्या आपको कभी डर नहीं लगा, आपके परेशानी नहीं हुई, आपके परिवार वालों ने आपको परेशान नहीं किया? उन्होंने कहा कभी नहीं, मैं जो करता हूं मेरा परिवार वाले सपोर्ट करते हैं, और इन्होंने कहा कि जो मेरी बेटर हाफ है, मेरी पत्नी है, वो भी मेरे सारे काम को सपोर्ट करती है. दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट में भी उन्होंने कई आर्कियोलॉजिकल साइट्स है जिसे बचाने के लिए आंध्र प्रदेश के जो साइट्स है उन्हें बचाने के लिए वो लगातार लड़ रही हैं, और इनका जो एक पूरा ग्रुप है वहां पर, उसमें कई लोग जुड़े हुए हैं, हर कोई कम से कम इनके साथ खड़ा हुआ है, तो इन्हें किसी से भी कोई डर नहीं है. और इन्होंने यही कहा कि मेरी अपील सभी अधिकारियों से भी वही है कि आप लड़ते रहिए, आप अपनी बात रखते रहिए. ये जब काम कर रहे थे, इन्हें 26 बार दोस्तों ट्रांसफर किया गया, 26 बार, और साल 2000 में इन्होंने वॉलंटरी रिटायरमेंट ले, लेकिन उन्होंने कहा जितने बार भी मेरा ट्रांसफर हुआ है, मुझे एक नया नजरिया मिला है देखने का, और मैं बहुत खुश था. और यही उन्होंने कहा कि अगर आप जनता के लिए काम करते रहेंगे तो आप कभी भी निराश नहीं होंगे. सो दैट इज वेरी पॉजिटिव मैसेज फ्रॉम यू. वन लास्ट मैसेज दैट यू वुड लाइक टू गिव, not only to the officers but also to the Prime Minister of this country, because what I believe is whatever is happening right now, a lot of it has to do with the current politics as well as the current way the country is functioning. This has now become like a one-man party, as well as wherever I go or wherever you have been going, what we see is that even now there hasn't been they are not using, say, their local candidate who is contesting the elections, but elections are fought on the name of Mr. Modi. He has received that much of love, he has received that much of affection. What would be your message to the Prime Minister on how things are happening right now? You have been very vocal, you have been speaking out. Your message to him as well as your message to the officers who are currently in this government.
No, if I have to give a message to the Prime Minister, I've written a number of letters to the Prime Minister. My message is that any political party that thinks that they can go against the spirit of democracy and the spirit of India's constitution cannot last long. You can mislead people maybe for some time, but not all the time. So my advice is, whichever political party is there, whichever political leader is there, whichever Prime Minister is there, kindly respect India's democracy. Consultation. Please look to people for advice. People are supreme, people are innovative, and they are there to support. Only thing is, respect their views. Don't divide the society. India's greatness is its strength. It is a diversity, but again, there's unity in that. So that you should respect. And for heaven's sake, if India has to survive as a democracy for a very long time and set an example to others, you should respect democracy, respect opposition. Mr. Bajpayee, for example, I've interacted with him quite a bit, and he always used to respect the opposition. That is his strength. He was acceptable to everybody. That is very important. And officers, stand by the rule of law. Your first accountability is to the Constitution and the rule of law. Overall, you are accountable to the public at large, not 1, 2, 3. It is the public at large. India, 80% of the people, they are deprived of their entitlements. If you fight for them, the entire country will stand by you.
मैंने सर से कहा, सर आप प्रधानमंत्री को क्या कोई संदेश देना चाहेंगे? हर जगह पर हम देखते हैं कि जो कुछ हो रहा है, उसपे जो राजनीति है वो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। तो उन्होंने कहा, ये प्रधानमंत्री हो या कोई और प्रधानमंत्री हो, मेरा संदेश वो है कि एक तो मैं बहुत पत्र लिख चुका हूँ। मेरा संदेश ये है कि आप लोगों को डिवाइड कर कर, लोगों के बीच में मतभेद लाकर, गलत जानकारी देकर, संविधान का दुरुपयोग कर कर आप जीत सकते हैं, लेकिन ज्यादा समय तक आप कहीं पर भी रह नहीं सकते हैं। और अगर लॉन्ग टर्म डेमोक्रेसी की हम बात करें तो आपको संविधान के नियमों का पालन करना ही होगा। और उन्होंने कहा कि ऑपोजिशन की इज्जत करनी होगी। अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जो है वो ना केवल अपने लोगों के बारे में सुनते थे, ऑपोजिशन के बारे में भी सुनते थे। सर ने उनके साथ काम किया, कहा कि मैं कई बार उनसे बात भी कर चुका हूँ। और वो जो है, जो विपक्ष के लोग हैं उनसे भी उतनी ही बातचीत करते थे, उनको भी उतना ही सम्मान देते थे जितने कि सत्ता पक्ष में है। अधिकारियों को लेकर इन्होंने फिर से वही कहा कि आप जो नियम है, लॉ ऑफ द लैंड है, उसका पालन करें। 80% जो लोग हैं जिन्हें उनके अधिकारों से वंचित रखा जाता है, उन्हें कई तरीके की परेशानी होती है, आप उनके लिए काम करें और लोग आपको सदैव याद रखेंगे। Sir, that is one of the reasons why we remember you, because you have been not only a fantastic person or an officer, but you in general are a fantastic person, a very honest person who has been following or who believes in the constitution. You have been very vocal. I thank you so much, sir, for joining me, giving me your time. Actually, we have been a fan of you. A lot of people, in fact, in Mumbai, we speak about you. So next time, if you are in Mumbai, we'll definitely meet as well. I would thank you for giving time and coming to our channel, and not only speaking to me but also explaining to our audience why it matters to be vocal. I hope that after today's interview there will be other such normal ordinary citizens as well who will also understand the power of being vocal, and they will also follow the path that you are following, and we will be all following your path. Thank you so much for coming to our channel, sir.
Thank you very much.
So दोस्तों, फिलहाल इस वीडियो में इतना ही। मैंने सर का धन्यवाद कहा कि आप न केवल जब अधिकारी थे तब एक बेहतरीन तरीके से काम कर रहे थे, बल अभी भी जब आप एक बेहतर इंसान की तरह अपने जो मुद्दे हैं उससे सामने लाते हैं, आप समझते हैं संविधान कितना महत्वपूर्ण है, और हम सभी भी आप जो पालन कर रहे हैं संविधान के नियम पर चलना और बोलना, क्योंकि बोलना जरूरी है, उसी पद चिन्हों पर हम चलने की कोशिश करेंगे। आज मुझे बहुत ऑप्टिमिस्टिक फीलिंग आई सर को देखकर। वाकई अगर आपसे कहूं तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा कि सर हमारे चैनल में आए, और इसलिए मैंने सर का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया किया। दोस्तों, फिलहाल इस वीडियो में इतना ही। आपको ये वीडियो कितना अच्छा लगा वो बताइएगा। वीडियो पसंद आया तो जरूर लाइक करें, दूसरों के साथ साझा करें। इसके साथ ही साथ अगर चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो वो भी कर लें। मेरा नाम है सोहित मिश्रा, आप देख रहे हैं सोहित मिश्रा ऑफिशियल, और आज के हमारे खास मेहमान थे EAS शर्मा सर, जिनका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमने किया।